All right, everybody's here. All right. The February 2nd, Ogden Valley City Work Session is hereby called to order. It is 2 p.m. on Tuesday, February 2nd. We're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I invite everybody who is able to please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And we'll have a moment of silence. Thank you. All right. Work sessions. Work sessions are not usually open for, they're not public hearings. They're usually not open for public comment, but if anyone feels extremely passionate, we will see about that. In the meantime, we're going to go ahead and get started with our agenda, which starts with a planning update. It has been requested and communicated to our planning group that until we're out of the moratorium, this will be a regular occurrence just to get everybody up to speed, because I'm sure everybody gets questions. So take it away. Chad, if you'd like to update on the planning. Chad or Peggy.
Okay. Yeah, as far as a planning update, we had our first planning commission meeting last Thursday, was it? Tuesday, thanks. Tuesday, John was good enough to stand in for that, and I think everything went really well. I was out with a little bit of a sickness, so we did make it as far as naming a new chair and vice chair. The new chair is Lisa Arbogast, and vice chair Angela Dean. They have chosen at this point to meet weekly on Tuesdays.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Tuesdays 3 to 5, is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
And they're second and fourth, 6 to 8.
And second and fourth, 6 to 8. Yes.
So the 3 to 5 is a work session, right? It's not a
Right now,
What is it?
most of them are work sessions.
Okay.
Right now, they're going to be work sessions for a while, just to get into the work and get it going. Then they'll start having public meetings and getting public input on products. But right now, the whole phase was to get them to jump in.
So they're always, I thought it was, the 3 to 5 was the work, not that it matters, we don't have applications to my in front of
Right.
that,
Until we do.
but, okay, so they're all work sessions, not 2 of them are work sessions and 2 of them are meetings, just they're all work sessions.
That's
Or
so
what?
far, until we have a reason to have a meeting,
Okay,
like an application they need to review or something that has to be viewed by the public to approve or give feedback.
And I think the good thing with that is obviously shows the enthusiasm and also the desire to get up and going from the planning commission. I mean, everything I'm getting from the planning commissioners is that they're anxious and eager to get working and get things done. I don't see any of them here with us today, but I've been talking with Lisa Arbogast quite a bit about plans and about the agendas, and really this comes down to them having a desire to get going and get working and to help out with both the land use ordinances and the general plan moving forward.
They're gonna have their first meeting tomorrow, their second meeting, excuse me, their first meeting after the election of the chair or vice chair. They already have assignments, and the first focus is going to be the zones. They're looking at all of the zones and see what we can move over, see what we need to change. They're taking all the feedback that they got from the year of comment. Then the 12 candidates, some of us weighed in on specific zones. They're taking that feedback and they're trying to decide to pass forward, working with our city planner, Frank Carter. So we're excited that they're jumping in. Tomorrow we'll see how their work goes and what they're gonna do next.
and all of that is Zoomable as well, people can watch or participate, or not participate, people can watch.
Absolutely, it's posted on the public notice website, but I would like to mention to anybody if you get notices for the city council meeting on the public notice website, you also have to apply to get the planning commission notices. There's separate requests.
So everything's à la carte.
Yeah, everything's à la carte, absolutely. You have to go in and just get that, the 2 meetings for the city. So if you're saying I'm not getting some notices and I'm getting others, you have to go in and subscribe to those notices. So tomorrow, they're gonna meet 3 to 5 before our our interview session from 6 to 8. So it's posted on the door here, it's posted on our office, and it's posted on the website, the public notice website.
Right.
But we do need volunteers, and I'm gonna plug in there.
We absolutely do.
Please,
Yeah.
please, we need volunteers to do what these fabulous, this dynamic duo does over here. We need a recorder and a tech person to help us set up the Zoom, record the meetings. So anybody you know that has time in the evenings that would like to help us do that. Recorder takes the notes and gets out the minutes and posts them. The tech support, Kathy, sets everything up. And do you post it, Kathy, to like? I give it to Sharon, she does all sorts of. She gives it to Sharon, and Sharon posts, so we do need some more volunteers to help with the planning commission meetings.
Would those volunteers send it to Sharon too?
No,
They'll post there.
I would still post it on the public notice website.
oh, that's good to know.
Yeah,
So, you know, because I'm the only one right now that has access, and that's just a good control. But, we need support for the actual meetings.
So
to
yeah,
come every Tuesday, someone who has their Tuesdays free,
there's someone who plans to show up to most of the planning commission
Right.
meetings.
that would be
Might as well
wonderful.
sit inside.
And my guess would be on that too, that we could take, I mean, obviously they're meeting more often than they will after the initial setup of things. So if they wanted to split that time and one person take one of the first and third Tuesday and one takes the second and fourth, probably be able to work that out too, yeah.
Absolutely, we'll
Yeah.
work out whatever we can if we can get support.
Fantastic. Anything else? Any question?
On the planning commission, any other questions on that?
Still sending people your way, Chad.
Well, stop that. Yeah. And I'm just
the planning
it's coming back to you, T, I'm getting more and more business questions, so it's coming back
I
at
would
you.
say that, yes, he's asked something.
Building permits, I
Yeah.
got that one this morning.
Yeah, and on a good thing with that, just as a side note, there's more business permit questions coming in too.
Business permits, yeah.
Yeah, which is good, it's a great
Yeah.
thing.
One last thing we had. The planning commission, the moratorium that came up is, I don't know, Don, you may have asked me, what about all the folks that wanna get in line to submit their permits right away at the end of this moratorium, whenever we begin lifting it? And I think it's open to everybody who wants to submit. It's an electronic submittal system, so when we lift certain parts, people will be able to do it simultaneously. So everybody can submit the request for an application for a building permit when we get there. We don't have to.
When we get there, so
When we get there.
they don't do it now and it goes in a holding cell, it actually, you just don't do it until
Right, when it gets lifted, and if we lift,
parts of
when,
it.
yeah, parts of it, whenever a part gets lifted, we believe if somebody wants to submit a permit, that they will be accepted. And on our side of things, we'll look at what's gonna be lifted when, and do we need to have more planners available to review them all? You know, that would be our kind of upfront, and not have it where people have to wait, because we still have days we have to meet.
Mhm.
So we'll have to have the infrastructure in place to respond to all those requests through the system we have.
Which is kind of a perfect segue into, I spoke with Brian Carver this morning and he was willing to jump on for a minute here and just give an update of the plan. And kind of where they're at, JB is at. I see Brian's up there. Brian, are you available to jump on for just a minute and give us kind of an update of where you guys are at?
And he's our city planner.
I am, hello. Good afternoon, thanks for inviting me. Yeah, as Chad mentioned, we've been talking for the last week or so about putting together a work plan for the next 4 months. or less if we can get it done quicker. To work through the existing planning documents, drafts, and get them ready for adoption and put them in place and get this moratorium taken care of so that the city can get back to business. I don't know if I can share here. I could share a copy of the outline really quickly. It's fairly ambitious. The timeline I put together would wrap things up by the end of April, but that gives us a couple of weeks in May, if necessary, for additional consideration and review and comment for any controversial topics or sticky issues that we just can't seem to come to an agreement on. The drop dead deadlines really begin that first week of May. If we want to have the appropriate amount, well, the legal amount of public hearing notice and public comment for both the Planning Commission and the City Council, then we need to have all information, all edits done and submitted to city staff for consolidation and preparation for publication really by the middle of May. And then we can work with the Planning Commission to schedule a public hearing for the first week of June, publish the draft documents for review, hold that hearing either June 2nd or June 9th, and then give the public an opportunity to comment at the hearing and give the Planning Commission their last crack at any sort of modifications related to what they learned at the hearing or any last minute changes that are worth discussing. And then they move that as a recommendation to the City Council.
We've got a question here from Don.
Yeah, Don.
Hey, Brian, thanks. So what I heard you say is the plan as you've got it drafted right now is ambitious and it's based on signed, sealed, delivered, my words, by the 30th of April. Is that what you said?
Yes.
With the caveat that if we don't get there, there's about 2 months left, May and June, if we have to use those.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Brian, though, it sounds like we need that May and June for public input, though.
No, those would be the drop dead dates where we absolutely have to have the final comments ready to go. The timeline that I sent along to Chad and Don earlier today would have those documents and that public comment period, those notices and hearings all done in April.
Oh, good, okay.
So that the final product could be adopted at the end of April if we can stick to that timeline.
So the challenge, if we're up to it, both us and the Planning Commission and the citizens, is to stick with the schedule as much as possible. And if we can be out of it on or about the 30th of April. If we can't, then we've got enough flex at the end to still meet our statutory requirements being done within 6 months. But if we stay committed, and if hiccups will happen, military term, no plan survives first contact with the enemy. The enemy in this case is not you guys, it's reality. But we've got a plan that working together with our Planning Commission, I think we're gonna be really far along. But Peggy, who knows, we may have to slip into May and June.
We have to, be realistic and say, this is our timeline, we're gonna do everything we possibly can to move it up, but do it right. We
Yep.
wanna get input, we wanna get everybody to feel good about this in terms of what we're doing, and if we need that extra time, we need it. If not, I'm all in.
I had somebody ask me about, is there a timeline, where can we find it? Is that available to the public?
We just put this together over the weekend. We can put it in a final format and make it available on the city website this week.
That should be the
What's the
planning
website?
commission. That should be, yeah, two things, that should be the planning commission putting
Okay.
that out. So let's let them look
Okay.
at this and work it tomorrow and let them, don't you think, Chad?
Yes,
Let
absolutely.
them put it out for the folks. The website, we're hoping, is gonna be live any minute, so.
I have a question. So I know that when you, and I read it a long time ago, so maybe I'm messing it up, but when you go to adopt the code, you have to do special public notice requirements and all this other stuff for public hearings and allow all this. Is it possible with the planning commission currently meeting weekly that if they get certain things like right off the bat zones, right? AB3 and F5 and all these other things, if they get that in a situation where they feel they could put that on the website, it's public for everyone to grab. And then in their weekly meetings, if they hold, whether it's public comment or I don't know if they have to name it something else, could that be part of the public hearing process to keep that moving along where we do parts of it throughout the next couple of months? Or do we have to have a specific, this is the day we're doing a public hearing and you can come and talk about any of the 100 different.
Yeah, that seems to be.
Because that seems very
relevant
relevant.
to people, so we're.
Brian can answer. Is that, you think, or do you have the answer, Peggy? Okay. Brian, go ahead. Did you hear that question? That's a really good question.
Yes, I did. So the question is, could we incrementally consider and adopt ordinances throughout this process? The short answer is yes. However, we would have to make sure that each meeting where something was being considered for, at least on the planning commission side, for recommendation to the city council, we would have to make sure that each one of those meetings was noticed and advertised correctly, appropriately according to state law, and that the hearing was advertised correctly. It would probably be best not to call them work sessions in such cases. They would just be specially scheduled meetings of the planning commission with a hearing.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely, that structure could be put in place. The one thing I would counsel is not to do it every single week, simply because it gets easy to lose track of from the public side.
Sure.
And also it may not, the public or the planning commission may not get to the point where something is prepared on any given week for a recommendation. But yeah, that kind of rolling incremental adoption process is definitely possible
Okay.
and allowable.
Because off the top of my head, so in Weber County, the way that they kind of have their land use code broken up, there's the zones category, there's standards as a category, there's
Subdivisions is a special
subdivisions
section.
is another category.
Yeah.
And so just to keep it simple in my mind, it would be possible then to say, okay, here are all the zones we think we've got them where we want them. Putting them up, notice the public, have a special hearing about it, and we could knock out, say, zones, and then the next time it could be subdivisions, or the next time it could be standards. Something, I mean, just off the top of my head, it could be something like that, rather than because one meeting where people have a public hearing about the land use code could last days.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. That's a lot of information to try and handle in one meeting. So yeah, it could be very advantageous to break it up like that.
Yeah, go ahead, Kay.
One other comment building on that, in addition to seeing kind of the layers of things you can cut through. It's my perception, having done some of the research before we got set up. Some cities do an incremental delayering of the moratorium. I think Lake Point did this. And I'll dig out some notes where they talked about it in briefing us, but thinking of it as an onion and perhaps delayering some of the residential issues that our residents are concerned about. Trying to give that priority would be very popular with the residents. The other thing, Peggy made a comment, I don't know if you were on, about what happens when we lift. Will people be lined up or will they be going on frontier? I've had a few people who are midway or almost at the end of the process say, do we have to do this all over again? So it might be good to think about a remedial effort for them or a special classification that to look at their prior submissions instead of sending them back to a line. And that was expressed by a few people I've talked to.
That's a great question. For example, there are quite a number of applications that Weber County received right up till January 2nd of projects that were incomplete for whatever reason at the time of the incorporation and therefore considered ineligible to proceed as a vested development or vested project. So we can work with those applicants in the meantime to make sure that they are ready to resubmit as soon as that the moratorium is lifted, and simply on account of their project or their application having that level of completeness at time of submission, that's going to give them a leg up on the timeline in terms of new applications.
Can you touch on her first question there as far as the delayering of the moratorium?
Oh, yes, that's correct. Yeah, that's something that we could certainly work with the city attorney as we come across elements of the code that are ready to move forward. We can work with the attorney and with the council to decide, what steps can be taken to open that process up step by step. It's going to kind of depend on what gets approved first, and what's ready to go first. And so we'll just want to kind of play that one by ear for the first couple of weeks. But I'm fully in support of it, and we will work to find ways to implement that as easily as possible.
Thank you. Don has a question.
I have one, not necessarily Brian, once we're done with the plan,
I'm-
I have one to put in the queue.
I'm good. You guys have anything else for Brian on the plan?
No, thank you,
Yeah,
Brian.
thank you, Brian.
Thank you very
Appreciate
much.
you jumping on there.
See you tomorrow.
Thanks. Yep, I will see you tomorrow. Have a great day.
This is for my colleague Chad. He and I had a conversation about the permitting process for the vested developments COVID. Did we get an answer, Chad? You called me last week and the question was, do we manage them with our planning and engineering process?
Yes,
Or is it county?
we do.
We do,
Yeah.
right. So, thank you.
Yeah.
Nate and Brian and I have talked about that. So, and I pointed out to Nate and the engineering team, not only are we creating new land use codes for us eventually, but we also have to be familiar with the existing land use codes in Weber County. And so I've asked them to become familiar with the development agreements. They can prioritize them, Kobe being obviously one of the first ones. Because eventually Kobe, the owners of Kobe will request permits to build and we'll need to get going. So this is good. We've got the right team. From a fiscal perspective, this is a Don term, calling these are unfunded mandates. Because we did not receive money on the development agreements, but we will receive money under the permit applications. And I've asked Nate and by association Brian to look at what they think it's going to actually cost us to do our engineering and our planning work when we approve these permits. And if we think we need to create a resolution similar to what we're doing with excavation to change our permit structure for building permits, we can do that. Am I making sense, colleagues? We're not ready to do that yet, but soon we should, because we will be bearing the cost of our planner and engineer spending a lot of hours doing these things.
Right.
Am I making sense?
Are you talking kind of as though that what Kane's alluding to, the delayering of the moratorium?
No.
No. So let's just say John Lewis.
Hold on.
Brian.
Yeah.
Okay, Brian, I'll get to you in a second. We'll let Brian speak to it. Let's just say EVO applies whoever owns Kobe right now applies to build, that permit is allowed to be done because it's,
They have their own land use code.
so they can apply and we need to start using our planner and our engineer to review those permit applications when we show that we're gonna pay for it out of our general fund. Right now, the Weaver County permit structure has about $100 for the engineer and about $150 for the planner, something like that. We're gonna spend significantly more than $100 and $150 for our staff to do these. So it's something that you and I should consider talking with Brian and Nate about. Maybe we want to study how much we think it's actually gonna take. And we could create a resolution that changes the fee structure associated with.
So this is about fee structure. Yeah, so a lot of things with Weaver County were subsidized and they have a lot larger population to subsidize things with than we do. And so us subsidizing the same way, it's a lot of burden on our general fund and our taxes. And so I know we've talked before about making sure that our fees try as much as possible to cover the costs. A lot of times you can't do that because things just are expensive and you have to kind of subsidize, but as best we can. Yeah.
Yeah, and that may be something we look at Joan. Without the plan for the engineering piece.
Well, we could, but yes, number one, we own it, Chad's confirmed. Two, right now, we would use Nate and Brian or their subordinates. And we would process them. It's something we should look at the fee structure while we're beginning to learn how to change. fees.
Maybe that's what Brian's hand up for. Let's see what Brian's comment is. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, Craig, thanks for letting me jump back in. I did have a comment on the Kobe project. That's actually one that we are receiving a number of applications for. I think we're up to 16 right now from the Kobe townhome project. The applications have been accepted and we have a process in place to review them from completeness. We've got a copy of the development agreement for this subdivision, so we're proceeding with that. However, Rebecca Hansen from the county raised a question to us this morning. One of the county requirements is that all subdivision improvements must be completed prior to issuing a building permit. That's things like curb and gutter, road paving, things like that. And those improvements have not been completed yet for Kobe Branch. And so I'm working with the county to find out exactly what their ordinance language states. But we need, as a city, you need to decide sometime in the next 14 business days how we want to proceed on that. And I would be very careful about making a recommendation to allow issuing building permits without those improvements in place simply because of the precedent that it sets for future development.
Yeah.
So Brian, have you sent us that formally for planner and engineer to talk about?
I haven't passed that on formally yet. No, I will get that to you today.
I had gotten that today.
May I jump in? That means shortly then, we have to look at whether excavation and such activities within those subdivisions, which I think may be private roads, are subject to moratorium. Just as we created the exception for the public improvements on public right-of-ways.
Yeah, okay, we should answer
Yeah.
that question, but since they're allowed to request a permit and build a house, presumably they can excavate as well.
Hopefully. Yeah.
Because the excavation exclusion was to allow rights of way stuff that is otherwise subject to the
Yeah.
moratorium. But these developments are not subject to the moratorium because they were prior to.
I had this question from someone who.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's throw it over to the lawyer and see what he says.
To the lawyer.
Yeah, that's why we got a lawyer.
Oh,
What does the law mean in this case? If we need to.
So
well, it depends. That's the lawyer did.
Brian, this is Janet. I would just say that make sure you read thoroughly the developer agreement for Kobe as well as the county code that they are subject to. Because there have been times where in a developer agreement, certain exceptions have been made. That are outside what the code originally states. And so I'm just saying, don't just go off of the county code, make sure you're doing both, for your due diligence before we either accept or deny the applicant's building permit, please.
Okay, thank you. We'll make sure that we take those into consideration.
And one more comment, Brian, I think you guys are doing great. You know, we've been impressed with all the words.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thanks, Brian.
Anything else on planning? I have a quick question. I got an email, I know, Peggy and Ted, you guys did too, from one of our residents with a question about whether or not, so he bought a lot, he knows that he can't build because of the moratorium. But there are two current structures, he didn't describe what they are, but he would like to remove those structures, and he wants to know, can that happen? Can you remove structures if he's not building yet?
Demolition.
I did not see anything in our moratorium that would prevent.
I don't remember anything being written. It was about building, it wasn't about destroying.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
not taking away.
No, it's not a clearing plan. The whole intent is to make sure that the structure fits the standards and the setbacks that we set for each zone. So
Okay.
demolition, I think you could get a permit and go ahead
And I think Weaver County is continuing that right now. I just on my way over, I was talking to someone else on that.
We were kind of doing, okay.
Well, he was currently working with them on the asbestos side of things, having an inspector come up and check
Who we talking to?
existing, another
Okay,
situation
okay.
that you were just talking about. One, I know Atherlin, this is another one that they're currently working with the county to inspect the asbestos, and then he has a demolition permit for next Tuesday. And all I said to them is, if you're getting the green lights to go ahead with that, continue. There's a good chance it's gonna get stopped once you look to rebuild that, but if you can continue to get the green lights on that, you're good to
You
go.
brought up a whole new concept I hadn't heard before, demolition. Is that all, do you have? I don't remember discussing demolition permits when we discussed.
No, I hadn't either until it came up, and the one you're talking about, I know, one you're talking about, and this was a new one as of today.
So is this a gap we need to fill, a demolition permit?
Well,
Thank you.
if it makes sense for if demolition is not within what our intent for the moratorium was.
Right.
And if it's therefore not explicit in the moratorium, then in theory demolition would be allowed, except under what rules?
under the county rules at that time. So if they submit a permit, the county will yea or nay it. You know, whether it's incomplete and they'll kick it to us, or it's complete and they'll go through and do it if it's not covered by the moratorium. So I think if it's permitted, then they're gonna allow the demolition, permitted or not, to go through.
But we can take it offline and review it with Corbin.
I think we need to.
Yeah, but I think it's cool they.
Should we get for public comment?
I'm gonna, yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to reiterate what Chad said, if typically, you know, depending on what the demolition project is, and if it would affect environmental concerns,
That's what I thought. It's
pollution, runoff, it should be permitted and checked out and inspected. And asbestos, you know, especially things like that could come back and bite us.
Yeah, the health department, I would think, we could say, like you said, asbestos.
Which led me to, against which rules? Is there a Weaver County demolition
Well,
ordinance?
And
I
then.
don't know. So we gotta figure out what the rules are and make the right decision.
Are there rules right now, so we will see, but I can take it offline.
Chad, in fact, this is a permitted thing.
Oh, no, I'm with you.
So I think Chad and Stan can work that out very easily.
Unless it falls out.
Well, unless it falls out of the flame that you want to.
Well, there's stormwater protection plans, there's certain things that
Right,
be incorporated with demolitions, will and stuff.
right, and the county should have all that.
They should.
So Huntsville has a process for demolition permits, so you guys not looking to do that we, you know, we have a lot of these houses that are torn down.
Mhm.
That they have.
Honestly, this is the first time I've heard demolition permit. First time.
There's been more demolition permits than Huntsville construction permits.
Yeah, that's, I mean, her favorite kind of permit.
And we have to worry about historic land sites and all
Okay.
sorts of stuff,
So we need to look into this.
We need to look
Okay.
into it, we need to work with the county on this, and I think we'll have a more definitive answer.
Okay, perfect, wonderful. Anything else on planning, or can we proceed? All right, let's proceed on to the next item on the agenda, which is the city name. Nothing at all that's controversial whatsoever. But this discussion for the city council is really just to start the discussion on how to move forward, right? So I can't remember. I think a number of people asked to put this on the agenda. So I'm going to turn over to Peggy because I think it was Peggy. But go ahead and leave this off. This is for discussion. No formal action taken in any of these work sessions. So.
Right, just to kick off the discussion, I know we've had a million of them in the grocery store, people asking us about, when are we gonna change the name, what's happening? We had a great city celebration and people were sending well wishes, and we got a number of them about changing the names. I'm getting emails, we have articles in the paper, so I just think we should kick off the discussion on how we're gonna go about doing this. And one of the things that we all know is there is a grassroots effort, a group of folks that have worked very hard over the past year plus in trying to get out to residents about what their preference is for a name. They were at the Balloon Fest, they were at the voting outside the library, they have been in a number of different places and have conducted a number of different surveys. When they came and met with us, Edith was one of the group here, when Edith and her sister and Carol came to meet with me, we sat down and talked about some of the surveys and how it's gonna work with the city council. So how we interface with this, and I wanna toss it out and have that discussion get started. The second thing I wanna say is, we did talk about making a larger group or making a survey to get to more residents. So one of the volunteers at the city celebration, Donna, used to do surveys with the Navy for years. So he hooked up Donna with the, and they're working on now another survey. So I'm wondering a couple things. What is our direction to the group that's working so hard? What do we want to do? Are we going to help support, or do we see it going in a different direction? I just want to have that conversation, so I'm gonna kick it out and toss it out.
Okay.
We were thinking of stuff at the same time. I was thinking of this and other committees, and we have people who want to do stuff.
Yes,
So
we do.
I did a very simple PowerPoint that Kathy, yeah. It's,
The committees one?
yeah, committees.
To be clear, so we've gone from specific naming and what to do with naming to
Yeah.
how to approach committees writ large.
Right.
Okay,
Well, okay.
Well, I don't wanna get distracted
I
too
don't-
much on that.
Yeah.
It's right here.
I don't
If
either.
If it is here and we want to do this as a committee under our government, then yes, then that's a discussion we could have.
Can I suggest this? This was done knowing you all were talking to us, and wanting to know what to do next. And we have a vehicle for what to do next. And then we can see, is this the vehicle we want that would help you formalize what you're doing, get direct access, and actually have some official standing for all the work you're doing. So it was designed with you in mind, but also agricultural people who are interested, all kinds of other people, and even the emergency response committee that you have.
Emergency preparedness meeting.
Exactly.
Because we partner with the county and we have interlocals with the county, but not for emergency preparedness. So I'm trying to put a committee together and I don't know, so that.
Can I ask that this presentation, if we're gonna do it now, is brief?
Sure.
And by brief, I mean no more than 5 to 7 minutes, because I was thinking this presentation would go later. But if we can keep it, this is about the naming, about how to move forward with the name of the city, not necessarily about committees, but we can do this because you're talking about, I guess, a naming committee, but if it's brief, if you want to take longer, can we put it back towards the end, either way?
It's up to Peggy, because this is about how we can go forward and how you can get feedback.
If we could do the 5-minute brief thing, then
I
let's
do
do
it.
it.
I
have buttons for you.
Yeah. We can do this briefly. I don't even have any
And then
pictures.
to come back.
Yeah.
We need to.
And then see if it fits in this vehicle.
Okay.
Okay, next time, really fast. So, the question we're trying to solve is citizen communities. It's contemplated and allowed in the code that we adopted. And people like Edith and others are raising it, and it's not just the union committee. And so actions needed from this little group is timely to consider creating committees. If so, what are the ones you want to do? And then 3, what's a useful and practical structure so we don't overcomplicate it. Next slide. And here are some existing committees or groups of interest, which would be a sensible place for us to start. City name, number 1, congratulations, the Ag Committee. And then possibly local business on the horizon. There are also weighty things, Don and may have talked about a water advisory, open space preservation, someone likes youth committees, and also the Olympics. One way to look at this is to use the old Eisenhower chart, like what's critical, what's urgent, but also what's really important. And so we want to figure out what's in the red box to go ahead and do it now. I think the city name is in the red box. Because we get to make phone calls and everything else. Next slide.
It's an opportunity to bring
it's
things together.
good.
I mean, I think it's a good opportunity.
Yeah, this is designed to help build on the interest of people wanting to be engaged and et cetera, get moving. Here's a really practical structure, 3 simple steps. We decide if we want to use the committee or advisory group. Modeled here, it's in the code. We then name a council sponsor, WISE sponsor, to give them the access point and kind of mentoring on how you weave your way through the council and make contact and make proposals. Then we need to look at what are the priorities, what do we want to really do, the city name, ad, whatever, and then some simple startup steps. And I got some of this from Nick, who's Mr. Project Manager. What's the scope? What's the goal? What are the steps to deliver the goal or deliverable? And then what's done? What is completing this? Now, some committees, if you can keep going, also have the notion of there are some single purpose committees. It might be the city name is a really good example of a single purpose. So you assess what you want to do, you propose what you want to do, you come back with the idea, and then we vote. That's simple, implement it, and then we go. The continuing type of committee, next slide. There we go. Not high end graphics here, but it's like a continuous process, a circle. ID the problem, what's the short-term goal, steps, deliver that goal, and then you rinse and repeat basically. And that might be more the agricultural model. So we maybe have one more slide and that's it. Good. Okay, brief, 4 minutes.
Okay, so that's for putting committees together, I understand.
What I guess I'm asking today, let me jump in
Yes.
and Janet, is are we going to acknowledge and move forward with the committee's work? And I asked them for a presentation on what they're going to do for the residents to get that input. I think with Edith working with Donna now, they've come up with a broader survey with demographics that tell us who's responding. And I think that they've done a tremendous job so far, and they have grown tremendously with what they're doing. So I think it is time I would like them to present what they have in the survey and send it to us and see if we could accept them as a committee with our blessing to go and get input from all residents.
Can we put input on the survey?
Yeah.
Do we get to have input on that?
Yes, I sent you all a copy.
So I saw it, yeah, I saw it. So
Yes,
does it respond to you or do we talk to them?
To me or Victoria, yes.
Is there a reason not to say go ahead if you're a committee?
I don't think we can make decisions right now.
We can't.
That's why I asked, is there a reason?
Well,
To say-
I mean, so let me
You
just
need
say.
to talk to them.
Yeah, just the whole point is us discuss. And I will, so to answer your question though, Kay, I have met with the people in the committee a couple of times through the transition and everything. I've gone over the documents that were recently sent. They're very impressive. One of my biggest concerns is that, surveys are actually a science and they're very easy to do incorrectly. There's plenty of ways to lead people towards certain answers and have biased data and all this stuff. I've been really impressed with the amount of thought and work and I don't know, parameters they've put in to the work. So the fears that I would have about whether or not the current situation has been done correctly are somewhat allayed. I still remain though with, if we're going to sanction a committee, I think, granted I don't vote on this, but I think that it needs to be open to all of the public. Whoever wants to join is welcome to join. That there's a process, right? Like we put out anyone that wanted to be on the planning commission, there was an application. It doesn't have to be as formal as that because committees are not necessarily commissions or anything like that. But I would be uncomfortable sanctioning. Please don't take this for anything less than poor choice of words, but like a private group that organized themselves and got off to the races, amazing races as it is. If we're going to sanction them from the city level, I think it needs to be open to anyone who might want to join.
Here's a way to approach it. There is enough momentum and broad interest to say, okay, you're a committee. One of the steps I left out was considering the composition of the committee to make sure it's representative. Because when we were talking about this part of the code, we were talking about, well, what if someone is rogue? What if they are a standing committee and there's no connection to the work of what the city is doing? But that, I think, can be addressed through just the administration, the connection with the sponsor, doing their own guidelines. The code allows us to, and this would be a sponsor, write some simple guidelines, and we want them to be light. We don't want Robert's rules. Lord knows we don't enjoy Robert's rules. And then, set those up so that they can then reach out and get an inclusive community.
And that's what I think they were doing. They
Yeah.
included Donna, they included some people that had years of experience with writing this. So what would you feel comfortable with? I'm hearing that you want it bigger and more inclusive.
Well, for one thing, I'd like to back it up because we kind of got right into a committee, and what I want to back up and discuss in general is number one, and also this is partly for the public's benefit as well. I know that there was a discussion during the campaign season about names and all this other stuff. And I know that at the time, some people talked about how, it should be up to the whole valley, it could be on a ballot. And we learned in our training back in early December that is not even a remote possibility, that you cannot put something like this on a ballot. And so that takes that right out. So just for everybody's awareness. And so I know that I was very adamant. I thought it shouldn't be something 5 people should pick. But guess what? In the end,
It is.
it's 5 people that get to pick it. And so that's how that turns out. Now, within that, how we get the information to the 5 for the 5 to declare. But in the end, it's 5 people, you 5, that will declare, and then we'll put the legal action into place. Is all that correct? What I'm just saying, legally.
Here's what I'm thinking structurally for legal. We have a lot of, I'm going to say, discretion on what we want to recommend for the name. And we do have to file, similar to the notice that we just went through for certification, we do have to file legal documentation for it. It's very simple. But it does need a vote, you're right. And I think the real structural point is for us, for elected officials, we want to make sure that whatever name is presented to us for choice, whether it's the committee's name or any other name, is valid, is reflective of what the community interests and wants are. And we feel that it represents the community well. I don't think there's any specific standard at all. It's a judgmental call on behalf of the council,
I think the demographics talk to that. So you
Yeah.
have to be good with your demographics.
balancing them.
And it has to reflect the population of the valley.
Mhm.
So you have a certain percentage of people, are they represented? And so you see that through the demographics.
Yeah.
And that's what they would want on this.
I saw some
Yeah,
demographics.
so we
Yeah.
want voters, we want, residents.
Age,
Okay, so that's why the age is in there.
which is very broad.
Are you a registered voter? Are you a registered voter? And then I think the details about the broadness on the age range, can be hammered out by the committee. I mean, that's not something
I think it should be in the survey that goes out to people.
then that could be good feedback to this. So I guess what we're asking today is, do we want these guys to keep working hard to get a survey to a level that we're happy with? Is that what we're asking, or is there other issues with getting this out? So Don first, and
I'll
then
let Chad go first.
Well, I guess I think that's a really good point, and I think back to Mayor's thoughts on it, and also her kind of your opinion. What's your opinion on what would be the best way of doing it? Like, if your experience, if you researched it out first, what might be the best way for the city to go about doing it? I mean, we've got all this preliminary work here. How do we take it from this to an actual?
You wanna go first?
Oh,
Yeah, go ahead.
Edith and I have talked and her sister multiple times. I think it's time we deal with this. I am a proponent of a committee or whatever we decide to go. So I think,
Advisory group, whatever.
whatever, I think we do need to do. I think we five, with the advice of the mayor and the citizens, need to decide how we're gonna make the decision before we say go forth and do a bunch more surveys. And so we owe it to us and to them on how we're gonna actually make a decision based on what. So for instance, Edith weighed on his advice or are working on the parameters of a new survey. Great, but so what? Until we decide what we're gonna do with said survey, I'm not willing to sanction and go do. So we have to have that conversation. I don't know if today is the day to do that, but maybe it is. Because we haven't talked about this issue yet in council. It could be as easy as give us the top 5 names.
Right now?
Well, no, I'm not asking.
Here's ready to
I
go.
can tell you right now.
This why government is ugly and hard. It's ugly and hard because we owe it to ourselves to have a process. Because as the mayor pointed out, we 5 singularly get a piss off at least half of the valley, or 75% of the people. Nobody's gonna be happy, not everyone's gonna be happy. So we gotta come up with a process. Is it majority? Is it plurality? Is it give us the top 5 and we'll decide? And from there, we sanction a committee, whatever we call it, we say, go forth and do, come back to us, and we'll make a decision.
So I hear 2 things, if I may. One is, we need to have some parameters on how we make the decision.
I think so.
Okay, and Don would like. The second thing is, do we want to have a sponsor, did you say, to connect with this group and communicate that to them? Or do we want to have this conversation first before we do anything else?
If I may make a proposal, I believe in the innovation of our folks to actually come up with some good proposals, provided that the sponsor coaches them about, here's what I think my peers would like to see. The demographics clearly, the distribution through the valley, but we've got some, and also broader committee. So I think we got the engines ready to roll, in terms of preparing what council would like to see to make a decision. And I think they just kind of need the vehicle and the direction from a sponsor. Because right now, I can't sit, I don't know if any of us can come to a consensus of, we want this survey done according to this, within 0.2 points of statistical significance. That's why you all with an expanded committee and a sharp sponsor could say, hey, here's the best package. And it could be an advisory committee, of course, these are by their nature advisory. But you can see out really good data for, here's what the community is saying. All I know is it seems to be an urgent matter for people. And given its urgency, I think it's important from a perspective of us being responsible to the population. And also it's important because almost every week we're doing things, initiatives that we put our name on it. So I'd like to get past that and make sure, here's the name, even making a flag is
We can't do anything.
encumbered. Yeah, we have people who want to do that and be out to the races. Okay,
Are you proposing, Kay, to charter said committee, we'll use that term, to come back to us with not only a set of names statistically, but also a process by which we decide? Is that what you're proposing?
yes.
That's what I thought.
And also, I think that in this vehicle that I suggested in very loose form, we provide them a sponsor so they're not shooting in the dark, so to speak. Let's see how this process works with this ready-made advisory group, provided you get some broader explanation. We may even get you some help, or you could get it from Weber State to design the
Statistics.
Yes.
Yes, we could do that.
We've got people there who are asking us, what can we do to help you?
That would be wonderful.
Yeah, be fabulous. Public site people, all kinds of stuff. It's not my role, sorry.
I think the biggest issue is everyone gonna be involved,
Right.
you know, in the community. You know,
That's
we know
why
there's
demographics-
elderly people don't even know how to
You bet.
get figures. I've seen this survey, and I put in my 2 cents worth.
There is a current survey going and we do have a large response, but the ultimate goal from the committee's standpoint is to be able to get this out to as many people as possible. And we feel that we would have to do that through official channels. You have email groups and you have a coming website that would be the best way to get it out to more of the population.
Absolutely. And one thing that made me think we need to start this committee issue is in meeting with you all, said, you know, the website would be the perfect place to do one of those surveys.
So if I may answer your question. So, you know, and because I've talked about this before, I think probably at least during the campaign season, was I do think it's something that a committee needs to do, you know, to head up. We're all already running like our hair's on fire, you know, trying to handle all things, and then we pop up and we find there were things we've never heard of before, like a demolition permit. And so we're already incredibly busy. So it would help to have a committee that takes the charge, just like any other committee we talk about doing. There would be a person from the council that would be a part of it to make sure that it's in line with everything that can come back and communicate. But it needs to be done in a way that, again, knowing the science of statistics and how these things are done. So for example, I believe the top 4 names so far, and these people have been working diligently for at least maybe a year, if not. Top 4 names are Eden Glen, Eden Springs, Eden Valley.
No,
Okay, that's what I have here.
Top 4 names. The top 4 names are Eden Valley, Pineview, and Pineview Valley.
Okay, I live in Eden and I love living in Eden, but I know people in Liberty and Huntsville that are so adamant it is not named Eden. So my point being, demographics. Where are the votes coming from? Is everyone, because if everyone in Eden votes, great, we're named Eden, but I don't think that's representative.
That's what the group needs to get together and share that information with us, because they have done different neighborhoods and it's all broken.
Well, and if
But-
I have, sorry.
But beyond that, I was hoping that this would be, people want, I mean, there are people who are, we've all seen the articles in the paper and gotten emails. There are people who are mad that it wasn't the very first thing we did. However, I think it is something that's worth spending time on. I think that it should, because people aren't all online, I think it should be in the paper.
Yeah.
I always talked about it doing like a sports bracket. You put your names out and you slowly work your way in as people submit new votes, and you kind of knock one off and you go in, and then it's the final. We can have a kind of a lot of fun with it if we do something like that. And it takes time because communications in this valley are difficult. We're looking very hard to overcome them, but the more time we publicize this, the more chance those that aren't online, that don't go on social media but are online, that don't read the paper but do this other thing, all get a chance to weigh in. That's the way I would do it. So yes, for the committee, I do think committees should be open. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But I do think committees, I think committees should. So we sanction, we should also say if somebody really wanted to join, they could.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah. I think you agree with that.
I would love to have.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Don.
Peggy, you sponsored this issue. What do you want to do?
I would like us to move forward with this, with the sponsor idea. The connection is great. We have a connection with, so whoever wants to do that piece, you know, I think I invite you to talk to Edith and get that going, and let's figure it out, because it does take time. And it does take, because communication here is, we gotta get it out to everybody. So I say we kind of look at, we can't make decisions here, so down.
We can't vote. but we can talk.
Oh, good, then I can say what I want to do.
Yes, you can do what you want here. We just can't vote here.
There's no around it without making it say.
What do you want to do?
Somebody should be a sponsor and connect with Edith. But I would like to ask, would anyone like to be a sponsor and help Edith with this effort?
Are you volunteering to be the sponsor?
No, not yet.
Can we talk amongst ourselves and like we did with the portfolios and say who has time, who wants to do this without it being a public meeting?
Okay.
And then,
So we can come
Go
back
for it.
with who will be the
Okay,
sponsor.
we can come back with a sponsor, because I feel the urgency to get started and get people talking about it again, and however we choose to do it. I would just like to see something get started and get the momentum going, so we can have a name soon.
So then if they're open to additional people, maybe we can put something in the paper saying if anyone would like to join this.
I'd like the group to do
Yeah.
And I can
that.
also put that out on our social media channels and.
Yes.
You-
Are you
I have a
volunteering?
I am, I would think, a representative from each district.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yes,
Great.
we have only District 5 representative.
I love that, by the way, because I'm saying right, the top 3 names are Eden, they're all from Huntsville.
Well, it speaks to the nonpartisanship of the committee.
One that's supposed to be.
Oh, well, there you go.
may I suggest my favorite saying other than how can I help you, which I learned from Don, is make a proposal and we'll talk amongst ourselves about advancing this committee in a sponsor for you. And but really almost you've done what you thought was appropriate. Now you need that backing to say what you need to take it over the goal line. So that we don't keep getting letters.
And you know, my interest is there. I would love to be the sponsor if and step up and do that. I think this is gonna be something that is important to us, so I'd be happy to help you. That's been your dream.
Perfect.
So let me take that on and I'll do that.
Okay.
And we'll come back with a proposal.
Okay.
And when you come back with a proposal, we'll be able to, like, I can put my input in right now.
Yes,
And then when you come back with a proposal, we're all going to vote on whether we want that proposal or not.
Or I can adjust it.
You can submit.
I would suggest that, let's decide, do we want them to go forward and be the advisory group? And then they may come back and say, the core group is suggesting this, this, and this, but before we go out and do what you've suggested, first priority district or whatnot, that's when, you know, we listen to the advice and say, go with it, looks good.
yeah, it's gonna be our call.
Mhm.
Good.
We cannot vote to make that decision.
No, we cannot, no, thank you.
I would ask Peggy and either to come to us with a proposal that we can put on the city docket on the whatever,
Second.
the 16th or whatever it is. And let's make it so, and let's get going.
Okay.
And let's get this one done.
And Donna, just for clarification, you're asking that this at that time be designated as a committee to advise us on how to proceed. With
Great, under our municipal code, whatever
Good point.
organization, and empower them. But the proposal ought to propose to us how they're gonna go about doing that.
Excellent.
And if the proposal is that they're gonna come to us with, here's a recommendation on how we make the decision, then that's just part of their charge. And then let's make it so.
All right. We good?
Okay, yes, so.
We just threw a bureaucracy at you, Ethan.
If you would like us to present our proposal to you on the 16th of February,
Ooh,
Yeah, it's gonna be before then.
Before-
Your sponsor will help you.
okay,
Work with your sponsor.
alright.
okay.
Oh, we have a timeline set up.
Yes, yeah, the meeting is on the 16th, if you want it to be able to be voted on to proceed.
It's the seventh,
Whatever,
whatever the Tuesday, whatever the.
it's the second Tuesday. All
People are pleased.
right, are we good with that, everybody? Are we good? Anything else about how to proceed with the name? Great. If you have anything else, anything else on how to proceed with the name, talk to Peggy. Peggy will talk with her people. Peggy for the people. Okay, next on the agenda are quite a few items that were sent out in draft form to see if anybody had anything to comment on. They're tomorrow evening's consent items. Consent items typically don't usually have discussion. Everybody has a chance to look at everything and then you just vote up or down and pass the consent agenda. Things like paying the invoices we've received, the minutes to get posted if they've been approved. We're not approving anything tonight, but if you have anything that needed to be commented or adjusted, this is a time to say it because we will be voting tomorrow to approve. So let's start with an easy one since it was about 1 page long. The Washington Terrace ILA for the Justice Court. Anybody had anything they wanted to comment on? No? Fantastic. One done. Let's go with I guess minutes. Anybody have anything they wanted to change in the minutes?
I did not have a chance to read through them all. I could not open them either.
Okay,
So
okay.
I'm having trouble getting to them. I will read them before tomorrow's, but
Anybody else have anything that, no? Okay, then we can, you and I can talk about that later. Excavation, do you wanna do that now?
Does anybody have any questions?
I did have one down, quick one. I really appreciated the fees chart to see other cities and how they compare. Do the fees, do you anticipate and do the other cities' fees pay pretty much, or do you know what a percentage? Are they like, why do you?
Such a great question. So the engineers, the horrible answer, but it's the real answer is it depends. So on a smaller excavation, we're probably gonna lose a little money. Just because of the cost of our engineer versus the small fee that will be paid. For a mid-sized one, we'll probably break even. For a large one, say Comcast is gonna dig a mile-long trench along the side of one of our roads. We will cover our engineer and planner costs for sure. So the way we've constructed it based on what Chad Boschel suggested we did in our look at the other cities was a best guess. We're higher than most of them because they all will say they're too low. And we think we're gonna cover costs. Now, what we're gonna do, of course, is track our actual costs and see whether or not we're covering costs. And if we're not, we can always go back and readjust the fee schedule.
Are you paying, is that the cost of the inspections also, or just the?
Yeah, it's painted in it. It's the application and the inspection.
Okay, so whose inspectors are doing that? Are we doing that?
Yes,
So we're using JB for.
JB or one of the others, but probably JB or Jones or somebody. It'll be our employees.
Our
Our-
contractors,
our
okay, good. And then I wondered what line item we take that out of, so if we're not paying the whole amount out of engineering or.
Well, the way it'll work from a budget perspective is there will be revenue up on the top of the spreadsheet, revenue permits. There'll be an expense down under expenses. Since these are developments, probably it'll be the engineering development account versus the municipal. It might be municipal, it might be development, it depends. But JEB will track that on, it would be municipal if it was Comcast on one of our roads. It would be development if it is a person's excavation against a building permit that we have issued. Am I making sense?
Yes, and
And-
there's gonna be subdivisions too, when you say that.
That would be a development engineering cost, but Nate is tracking all of his costs against the 3 account codes that we use.
And I guess just our plan for making up that, additional monies. Because, you know, this only covers a percentage, we have to come up with a plan to have money to cover that.
So in the case of excavation permits, we're starting, we will know
Yeah.
within a couple months whether or not we're covering costs. If not, I'm sure I'll come back to you and recommend a different fee schedule. As we're looking at everything else to the, not curveball, but the question I asked Chad about COVID. And my point that right now, we're going to lose money because right now, with these Chad, you've got whatever you said, 20 applications already.
The 16 and COVID.
All we get, all that they're paying is whatever it is per the Weber County Frontier thing. It says $100, 100, that's all it's paying. So we need to go back in there if we want to cover costs, figure out what our actual costs are and change that fee structure. Make sense?
And quickly, if the applications are, you can't change them once they're in.
Yeah, that's a sunken cost there, but we.
Yeah, that's a sunken.
What, I just sent Ryan and Nate an email and said, hurry up and start figuring this out, because we gotta get it changed. But it's a sunken cost on all the applications that have already been posted.
I also think having worked with Dawn and the other engineers and getting this together, their approach made perfect sense. We have no track record of our actual costs, so that survey really did the trick. Dawn has wisely suggested we track costs, whether it's legal or what have you, and see if we need to tweak it. And also, I think it's one of those actions we need to prioritize to get our own permitting fees, similar to this submitted, so that we aren't paying for this out of general funds versus getting reimbursed for it.
Right, and that was my initial
Yeah.
comment on that, to watch that.
Is that all your questions, Peggy?
That does it.
Thank you for reading it and asking questions of me, Tia.
So these fees in the county were paid out of, they didn't cover the costs for these fees.
Mhm.
What Gary Meyer told Janet and I when we were negotiating the ILAs is in general, Gary told me that about 30% of his actual costs were covered by fees paid, either development or permit or whatever.
Oh my God.
And the rest was taken out of general fund. So what we're trying to do is right size that as near as we can. It's not gonna be right, but it's gonna be a lot better, and we'll come back and readjust the fees once we have better data. Okay,
One quick detail, issue. I heard a little talk of this, I'm not sure if it got in there, about covering the travel expenses, that administrative stuff that our engineers will encounter in doing on-site permit inspections here.
yeah, that's, do the monies cover that? Yes. Is there enough money in the fee structure to cover it? We don't know yet.
Okay.
Like I said, once we have good data, we will know whether or not we need to change the fee schedule. It will be better than if we just use Weber County's fee schedule.
No,
But
agree.
I know we're not gonna hit the bullseye, but I'm gonna come back to you guys with data and we'll readjust if we need to.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions on the excavation permit?
Let me ask the intent, does this cover private excavations and private roadways as well?
It would, but you're not allowed to do those right now.
Unless the issue we talked about earlier, is it in a subdivision that's vested and has.
It will cover that, yes,
Okay,
yes,
okay, that's helpful.
yes.
Do you have any question?
I didn't, I must have looked at it.
Any other questions about excavation permits? They'll be on tomorrow's agenda. Invoices, anybody for invoices?
Oh, I'll be happy to talk.
No.
No, if there are no questions,
No.
there's no reason to talk about
There's
it.
nothing to talk about if we don't have.
I do want to say this, that we're adopting internal procedures for financial payments. And the division of responsibilities for between treasurer and a candidate, we have the clerk, please come on board as volunteer. So not only did you see the amounts, we've got a process that we're about to get rolling with. So thank you for that easy agenda point.
Good, okay, perfect. Rocky Mountain Power, what's going on there? Yes.
Okay, I think you've been given the, here in a nutshell, that this has been done by another outside attorney.
Yes.
Who represents a number of the other cities, Phil Morris. He did us a favor while he was negotiating, is it with Rocky Mountain Power? Or is this one of those he did a group? No, that was Justice Court.
We have tomorrow on the consent agenda is the Rocky Mountain Power franchise agreement.
Okay, Rocky Mountain Power franchise agreement,
Yes.
thank you. He did that as well. That is to allow them to do in part participating, gathering this energy tax for us. And one of the prerequisites of having that process in place is to have a franchise agreement. So he has proceeded to do that modeling after the other franchise agreements they have entered into. So it's good, it's all, it's bills are, nothing will change. No, it's almost, it's a formality. It's very consistent with other types of franchise agreements.
Okay.
It's done.
And I just, it came when I was in the other meeting before this meeting. Cause that's what I do, is go from meeting to meeting. So I haven't sent it to anyone else yet, so I will send it, if you already have, that'd be one thing, but otherwise I'll send it to everybody.
Okay.
So that you'll be able to read it, today, so I'll send that out, I just found that. Okay. But it seems pretty cut and dry. Franchise agreements tend to be. Office visit tracking. So this was put on the agenda.
I think, yeah, that was from last week, and I can withdraw.
Okay.
I didn't put, I mentioned it really. A greater form, let's track the visits, so we can keep track of issues that you follow up on.
Right, so I had assumed that being on the agenda for this week was to talk about whatever came in on that form. No,
Withdrawn.
okay, withdrawn. Volunteer solicitation more, these aren't consent.
I think this is still,
These are not,
prior, I think this is still from last week, talking about volunteers.
okay. That's off, those aren't in the consent. Okay, if there's nothing further on the consent agenda item, then we can move forward to the vision statement.
Excellent.
Peggy gets all excited.
Staying with us today.
All right, I'm gonna turn it over to Peggy to talk, because this was her item from a
Thank you.
little bit ago. Yeah.
Thank you. And I hope you all received the vision. When we were 12 candidates, remember back September, October,
There's so much after that.
we crafted a common vision. I'd like to honor all those voices of the candidates that were part of that and join with ours and get a final statement. We were so close. I asked Christine where we were and at the end of this process and hoped that she could bring us up to speed because I forgot when we left off. We got crazy, the election started happening, so we ended there. And when we put up our first mock website, I saw a vision that I wasn't familiar with. So it was a placeholder, I think, but I wanted to get ours done and put on there. So I've invited Christine today to ask if she would remind us where we left off and kind of help us with ideas to get over the finish line with this and have our vision for our group. I don't want to leave this day. So welcome, Christine. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, thank you.
All right, everyone.
Nice to see you again. So, yes, Peggy did ask me if I would just come and give you
A quick update, remind you of what we'd already been through, because it has been a while, and obviously there was a lot that's gone on between holidays and the election season. So I thought it would be wise just to do a quick refresh.
We want to get you on the video, so you can stand right on that piece of paper. Even with that, on the recording too.
So even with it shares.
Yeah, otherwise it is your head.
There you go.
I mean, I've crossed the threshold.
Yeah. You decapitated yourself.
Thank you.
So to help us get back to where we left off, I could simply just cut to the chase and tell you what the last conversation was.
Yep.
Which is
Let's
fine.
do that.
That's what you want?
Well,
You don't want to refresh of what we went through because somehow it seems kind of relevant, but if you want to just get to the last version.
I think a summary might be good.
And I'll move fast.
I would start with where we ended up and then summarize that with us.
Some of us like this, Don.
She looked at me and I answered.
Please begin by introducing yourself.
Thank
and
you.
Giving your address for the tape.
Oh, my address.
Is that right?
Or just where you
Yes,
live.
sorry. Yeah, okay, great.
Just your area.
Yeah, I live in Eden and I'm a resident of the valley and I initially started as a volunteer working with Kay on the admin committee. I came to this group because I have a background in doing strategic planning. I'm a retired tech executive, worked at Amazon and Microsoft and Oracle. So I most recently had some experience doing this working backwards envisioning session. And that's how you guys all got introduced to me. It was August 23rd. We were at a transition team meeting. Kay got up and said, look, if we're having troubles making decisions, we need to start with the end in mind. And the way you do that is you get to a visioning statement. So that's kind of how we all got introduced to one another. From there, we went on a rapid 3 workshop session series. And if you want to just snap through the slides there, Kathy, for me, we'll just do a quick recap of what we did in those sessions. So then I'll get to where we left off. I know you guys want me on the marker over there, but this is so small. This is just where we started. We started in August and we worked hard until we got to the end of September. We took a break during election period and now we're reconvening here. I just thought it was helpful kind of to see our timeline in what we were doing and what our next steps were, what the outcomes were in the participants. So if this is valuable to anybody in retrospect, feel free to come back to this. So if you want to go forward, Kathy. So this is where I got introduced to all of you, your transition team meeting. And if you want to go forward, then we had our first visioning session. And if you guys remember, we met at the Mountain Arts Music facility, and then we did some brainstorming, and we really talked about who's our audience, how can we delight them with big ideas, and then what are the FAQs that would come out of that. So that was our workshop, and then we got to the second workshop, which was the session number 2. Then all of you came and you did a PR FAQ, remember that? And we went around the room and we did readouts. And it gave us a lot of data because it ended up giving us more information about what each of your groups thought was really important. These were the 3 groups that we had. We had the finance group, the planning group, and the public works and IT group. And we just did some dividing and conquering on the writing. So we all gave some really constructive feedback. Each team presented, and then at the end of that session, we agreed the next time we would come forward, we would share on session 3. Next slide, please.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's right.
Sorry, I'm remembering our
Then when we came back together for the 3rd time, we had a lot of data, and this is where we started staggering. Okay, these are some of the common things that came out of all 3 groups, for all 3 brainstorm sessions. And then we had a really long conversation about this one particular slide, it was slide 10. We spent most of our time really saying, do we have the right elements of the vision? And if we do we have the right critical success factors to make the vision elements work? And there was an email follow-up that came after this that sort of explained this is where we ended up. All the summary of it was, we nailed the vision elements. And the only thing we thought was missing collectively from our conversation was something really specific around sustainability. So we did a little more wordsmithing on that. Then we talked about the critical success factors. And if you go to the next slide, Kathy, I'm just going to tell you this was the outcome of this came 2 emails to all of you. So this is kind of where we ended up, right? What's next? Kay and Shannon offered to do the final draft, which took all of that conversation on slide 10 and smush it into one. That was what we agreed to. A couple of other quick notes that we agreed to at that particular meeting was we decided to consolidate what's going on in slide number 10. We were missing sustainability. We agreed that a paragraph format was going to be the most helpful when we got to the vision statement. And then when we got to the success factors,
the format in a bullet point format would be helpful. These are the things we're gonna do. This is the vision. This is what we're gonna do to achieve the vision. So that was the formula that I think we'd all agreed upon. Now we fast forward, we get into really high intensity campaign mode. And I'm not sure that we ended up with a single consultant innovation at that point. We ended up with some really great work from Kay and some infographics, and then Shannon created a short version and a long version. So we have those three elements right now that I've got, I'm protecting like this, we're so close. And I did do one last pass at it, which is probably what you guys got in email. And what I did is I had taken AI and asked it to run syntax on top of the last version of Shannon's, because it wasn't that there was anything out of line, it just needed some additional punctuation. So I'll get to the big question in a minute, is if you guys read that, do you like where we ended up? Because we could cut this conversation really short and move forward if that was the case.
Can I jump in real quick?
Yeah,
And Shannon and I kind of divided the roles of, she of course is the lyrical writer and wrote
Yeah.
beautiful prose. And I worked on the punchy bullet points for the critical success factor.
yes.
So there were vision.
And we ended up with some really great stuff,
Yeah.
so, like I said, I'm very protective of it, because I think it was a lot of good work that took us to that particular point. And then the final bit of instructions that came out through an email, which is the elected city council will do the final edits before publishing. That's really where we are today, is do we need to do some final editing? Are we ready to publish? And then I would like to have the conversation, if you guys do, when we publish it, what does that mean? Where is it gonna go? Who's it gonna go to? Who's the audience? What's the timeline, et cetera? But that might be one more conversation down the road. So Kathy, if you could flip one more slide for us. Okay, I already did those, let's do another one. So the next 3 slides are the actual deliverables that we ended up with.
Yep.
So this was that truncated a little bit. This was Kay's long version of the.
Yeah.
But this wasn't in a paragraph format, it was more bullet points, but this was the vision statement and these were success factors. And if you go, and this is really about formatting more than it is wordsmithing right now, and I'm just showing you some examples. Any more happy? And then Kay came up with this one, which was a beautiful infographic. She'd asked all of us for some feedback in an email. You guys probably remember, there's a lot going on. Tia, I think he said, yeah, it's not resolved for me. Yeah, you don't remember this one?
No.
Okay. Well, and it was early January when Kay sent this one out. And I just had some feedback on this one in that I'd like to see a full paragraph that really gives credit to your full thought, your full ideas when it comes to the vision statement. And then reserve the success factors to do more of an infographic and bullet points.
So wait, repeat what you just said there, as far as why you would go away from this version versus what you did?
Based on the conversation we had, and also my personal opinion, is that the vision should be complete thoughts, not bullet points. It should be a full, robust statement that really shows the evidence of the work you guys put in and the thinking. And maybe escape with the lyrical words, meaning I think the words matter.
And it can be both, because
And it can be both,
Yeah.
for sure.
this could be like the succinct summary. Just it's the good one page.
So if you looked at what was sent out, did you get a chance to see that?
So that's what I think we ended up with here. Actually, if you go one more slide, we'll
But
find.
visually, I really love that, I haven't seen that, and
Oh,
I
you haven't
think
seen
that
that one, okay,
the
that's.
visual of that is like catchy, and like if it says what we want it to say, I think that's.
Yes,
I
Can I
love-
ask a question? Yeah, I want some clarification on the back, on the other one. Could you go back one? I know. What I heard you say, Christine, was you wanna, and correct me, cause I could be wrong. You wanna remove the graphics on the vision elements and put it in paragraphs.
Yeah,
And then on the success factors, then you would put in graphics.
yeah,
Yeah, with the bullet points.
And I'm not as interested in the graphics at this point, as I am what the bullet points are.
Yeah, sure.
Make sure that they're very succinctly saying what you want.
Yes.
But, and part of it's my opinion, but part of it is what you guys told us you wanted to do, which was have the vision statement in its entirety. And then you can always truncate it and abbreviate it, shorten it for other use cases, but it's harder to go back and make something round and robust after you've already cut it into pieces. So my suggestion is we nail the vision element, and as Peggy sent out, she sent a short version and a long version of the full written. And if you go one more slide, Kathy. This is what Shannon had submitted. This is the long version and this is the short version. And I think in the email you guys got, you probably have both examples of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you go one more slide.
And it was Janet, I sent it with all of today's documents.
Now these were all the success factors in long format. And so taking this and putting this in a short format, I think would be ideal. And if you go one step further, you'll see how this is what I ended up doing. I took that. These are the success factors. I put them in short bullet point. I just used AI for this. And then I took Shannon's document and I just ran syntax on top of it, just because there were some run-on sentences, not because I thought the content needed some information. So that's where we ended up here, these two short versions. So, question to all of you now is, do you see something that you like, that you think is ready to go? Do you have the sense that you would like to have another round of conversations and or an opportunity to do some editing? Or do you guys want to do something else other than those two things?
So when I read, I think a vision statement I'm bigger on the short. But when I read the short version, and man, time has passed because I don't even remember it saying this, but it doesn't sound like a vision statement to me. To me, a vision statement talks about, so this talks about who we are, and then in terms of the future. And so vision to me is about the future, right? So what we're living into, what we're going to work to preserve or become or whatnot. And so the first it's two sentences. The first sentence talks about who we are. And the second sentence says that we will move forward together in a transparent, ethical manner. But move forward to what end? And I would think the vision statement would say that because we're moving forward to honor our agricultural heritage, or something where it talks about who we are. But I don't know. To me, it doesn't hit me what we have right now.
Okay, good. First one, now,
The longer list.
yeah, that one.
No.
I think the way forward, thank you. I think we should take this on. I am not ready to approve either form, short or long right now, because what I recall ending up was, yes, we got something, it's good, but it was 12, not 6. There was some language in there that was 12, not 6. And it was a consensus thing to be done. And I think it's a great document. I think we should take this on and get it done, but I think there's editing that needs to be done.
I agree.
I'm not ready to approve it as is.
We're not
Let me be.
Yeah, we're not
We
approving.
went from 12 to 6, but we've also added 7 as part of the planning commission too, and I don't know if we need to involve their thoughts and visions in this at all too, as we move forward with it. I don't know, it's,
I don't think so.
I'm the same.
don't know, yeah.
I don't think so. I
Okay.
mean, it's.
I think they can have some input just as
I'm not denying them. I'm just saying, like, it's not, a planning commission is not
I don't
like a
wanna
government or legislative body. That's my point.
Take good testimony.
It's our responsibility.
Okay, that's good, I just threw it out there, and I'm glad that there was a strong reaction to it.
Remind us, Christine, what the intent of the vision and the action steps was that we expressed 6 months ago.
Yeah,
What was the intent of
the
it?
intent was the vision statement would help you drive decision making.
Who is you?
Citizens.
The 5.
It's
Like-
Well, but also be able to project that out to who we're representing, and that's why the visual one for me, with the little
Well, I agree with you, Chad. My point is, it was meant to be our vision of what we are doing in our first X number of years. That's why I asked her to restate that. Well, that's what we did.
Well, I think as a governing body, it's our vision as we move forward that we write our books. I would just urge us to get this done first and then our general, I mean, I think this is the guiding, our vision should be driving everything else we do. So,
Well, let me finish my thought, then I'd love to.
I thought you were finished.
Where we were 6 months ago, or whenever we started this, was creating a document to guide the ultimate six on their vision for their government as they go forward. In this are things that have nothing to do with land use codes and other things. It was to guide us and how we were gonna manage the city, the ultimate six.
Generally speaking, though, it did.
It did, yeah.
It does, it's in there.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Land use?
Well, it's in there, but there are things, my point to Peggy is there's things in there other than land use.
Yeah.
I don't think we need this in order to create a general plan.
Again, I think a North Star is always helpful, and to me, I see us trying to align with that. We should know where we're going, we should know what's driving us, and we should know who we are. And then we do our plans to support that. So to me, it's a first logical step. And we were so close, if this is still something we feel and want to do, I would love to see if you can help us get this across. If not, if we want to rewrite, then I think we need to rewrite. But I do believe if we don't have a vision, we're gonna wander aimlessly.
I'm a fan of getting it done.
I'm going to.
I think I said, let's get it done.
I'm gonna volunteer, because we all have different perspectives on where we left it. Was beautiful, helpful, but not done, not final on subject as I recall us.
Well, and this is
I
the
would-
final piece, and
I
we're
would-
doing exactly what we said we need to do.
Love to work with you, I was in my nose, I wordsmith too much. And present, here with these comments from today, here's what we recommend. And then we can, we can fool with it during a work session, get offline comments as well. And just get it over the finish line.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. And in support of what you were just saying, as your conversation came up earlier about how we're gonna do city naming and where does it land on the scope of priorities. I think if you adopt this vision statement, it's clear where it sits inside that scope of, your very first success factor is engage the community in the general plan. I think that might be a subset. So I mean, it would start to help guide some of these decision making that early on, everyone said, well, what's our vision? How are we gonna make all these decisions? So I would say, I think if we have a plan, have a vision, you'll find your way through it, I think, and it'll snap to some of the things that are coming up, it'll make sense.
Yeah, I agree strongly with that too. I think with what Peggy said, and I just summarized it, and I think it's very important. I think the six of us, all that's going to do, even if we have different thoughts about it, all it's going to do, if it's a together project, is bring us more together as a six, and then in turn, hopefully brings us more together as an entire group of Valley residents. And that's the ultimate goal with a vision statement.
Well, and weren't the six of us involved in this? So no matter if the 12 decided, six of us decided it,
Yeah.
So we've already had input in
Well, I
this.
think there was some conversation early on, Tia, amongst all of you, that said having the 12 candidates buy in on this was maybe even more powerful. I mean, clearly, you guys were the ones voted into office, and that's most meaningful. But were a lot of other constituents that perhaps had other support or supported others.
Right.
But their vote was included in the vision statement. So, I mean, I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. I really don't, I think that's really far down.
Oh, I
the
don't
path.
saying that.
I don't think that's
Okay.
either.
Nobody's saying that.
Yeah.
Let's get her done. There's some wordsmithing to be done.
That's
But
correct.
let's get her done.
That's correct.
Yes, I think. Sorry, Blaine had something to add, I was gonna offer.
Just one clarification, is this something you revisit every council, so in 2 years when there's possibly new people sitting here, do you guys have to re-vote on a new vision statement for the council?
That's a good question.
Or is this for the city as a whole?
It was for the city as a whole, as far as I was aware.
So we discussed that exact thing, and we're hopefully putting something together that can be passed on that vision, I mean, you never know that because you never know who's gonna be voted in office. Yes.
Yeah, no.
Lane, if I remember right, in these offices, here's a bear vision. Oh, I thought I saw something.
I think also planning commission involvement. This vision statement could be part of their consideration for the new general plan.
So it should be up to everybody. And I heard Kate volunteer. To help Christine, so I think we're good.
So,
Make a proposal, Peggy.
yes, I think would be that we would like to put it to bed, and if we think everything that was done prior was great, we all agree.
Good.
It's not quite finished yet, so y'all will come back with something for us to look at.
Perfect.
Wonderful.
And timeline, how soon do you want to come?
I'm gonna let your sponsor get with you and talk to you about all that.
And do you prefer shorter or longer? Combination thereof.
I find that in today's world, people's attention spans are very short. I think shorter is what people will read, long they will not read it.
Can I say that the long version that I'm reading there is short?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, good point.
That has been shortened from what
It was, definitely. Okay. Yeah.
Shorter is better, and knowing who I am as a planner, small p. I will be referring ultimately to our vision statements, be it 6 or 7 or 5 things, and I will be saying. What I'm proposing to you is directly linked to that one and that one, this is why we're doing it,
Right.
but if it's a paragraph this long, it's very short.
Yeah.
Well,
That's exactly what it should be.
right, and to Kim Wheatley back in the day, it said, whenever we vote on anything, we should be able to point to it and say, this fulfills that one and that. That bullet points, yes, so I think we're all still on board with that.
I'm excited to work with you.
Welcome back.
I don't think it'll take us long to do some little massaging, and so hopefully by the time we can have another meeting, we'll be back in front.
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
And all that work was great, Val, thank you very much, Christine.
Just didn't want to lose it.
I appreciate that,
Thanks for
thank
bringing
you,
it up.
yes, thank you very much, for being on that. Okay, next on the agenda is council comments, and I put that. This is kind of like how Kay used to call things the hopper or whatever. Some people have had certain things they wanted to mention, but it's not something we can. It's not pushing towards an action item or anything like that. One off the top, I've got 2 off the top of my head that I remember people writing down. Actually both are from, at least one's from Kay. So one was advisory groups. Getting started, that we have a ton of residents who are interested in helping, and we need to take a pause and figure out how we can best start all these other things we need to do that people can help us with. So whether it's youth councils and ag, groups and business groups and all that other stuff. So one is the advisory or the committee group. The other topic that was put on the list was Kay, you mentioned you wanted to mention something about the sales, snow and water effects.
Yeah.
The lack of money.
Lack of money,
Well, the first one. Just the current environment, what is doing to the city. The first one, I think we kind of walked through about looking at this vehicle. To use, and you get to be the beta on that, thank you. From the appearance of it, and I'd like to tee up then these other groups, because even with the planning commission meeting Tuesday night, who's there? Ian, the fellow who did the agricultural roundtable. So that's one of the reasons I popped him in there. So we'll keep working with that model and see if it's suitable, and Peggy's gonna pilot as the sponsor. The other issue is, are there conditions in the city that we should put on the table and consider, is there something we need to address? This was sparked by my remembering when there were mass layoffs at IRS and Hillfield, and I saw some of the city councils, Ogden and elsewhere, talking about what do we do to help the people who are impacted. And I don't know if we're there yet with this snow, but for the lack thereof, I understand people are losing some jobs. Some of the businesses are tightening their belts. I think the ads in the newspaper might be constricting. Do we need things to, I mean, these are off the top. Do we need to think of that? Do we need to just, what can we do, if anything, that needs to be done to help acknowledge or remediate this situation?
I liked your suggestion of doing community groups because that's where we get these ideas instead of us coming up with them. It's really what people need and to generate that. I just wanted to share on the business, 3 more comments that came in at the night of the party was prosperous small businesses and a tight knit community. I wish a bright future with controlled common sense growth and let's increase small businesses. So there's 3 out of all of these that talked about small businesses. And here's an example, a map of farms and farm stands around our valley. You know, that's a clever one and much more specific. But I think those will come organically if we can get these small committees going. A small business group, an agriculture group, we have the naming group. Let's start getting ideas from the people that bubble up, and that's where you get your support.
So, I've had this going through my head for a while now, and I have a mayor's message coming out in a future paper about just a little bit about what's happening right now within our community, as well as what we can do. We can all take upon ourselves, you know. When we were unincorporated, that, you know, things changed when we became an incorporated city. You know, general funds come from sales tax and property tax, those 2 things. Our valley is very disproportionate. It's supposed to kind of be a 50-50, and our valley has our mill rate for our property tax is very, very low. And so our sales tax is about 75% of our general fund, and our property tax is 25%. And as we talked with our finance advisors, the problem there is, should there be, at the time they were saying, a downturn in the economy, a recession, we are in trouble. When you look at our businesses, our business licenses in this valley, a lot of them have to do with tourism. Tourism is down. Without the snow, our short-term rentals are empty. Our cleaning companies are not being booked because there's nothing to clean. Restaurants are empty. You go to talk to all of our restaurateurs, they're all struggling. So a big part of our sales income is going to be affected by the fact that we didn't have snow. So part of my message is going to be what we can all do, right? About the fact that, like, if you normally get your hair, I for years have gotten my hair cut out of Ogden. I'm switching. I'm sorry to my hair person, I haven't told you yet, but I'm switching to somebody in the valley. If you get an oil change, get it in the valley. Do whatever you can do in the valley, in valley businesses, because not only are you helping your neighbors, but you are helping this city, because if without that sales income, we are going to have to talk about raising property tax. And I know nobody wants to talk about it, but those are your only 2 incomes. And so if our sales tax is down and we don't raise that mill rate, then we don't have any cash. So the second part that I think will come very apparent is that without this snow, we're going to have a very difficult time this summer with water restrictions. And needing people to fulfill them. And a good chunk of legislative items going on right now are about water and the Great Salt Lake and what is happening. And one of the things, I was in a meeting right before this meeting, and I have a meeting that I'm missing now and a meeting after that, but the meeting I was in before this, they talked about, it was one of the legislators talking to us saying, you know, here's where we are. And it gave us a whole slide deck and everything. Here's where we are. If cities do not start monitoring and taking good care of their water, we don't have a municipal water company, so we're a little bit different. It will be forced upon. That it's actually going at the federal level about the Great Salt Lake. He talked about the fact that all municipalities in the state of Utah have junior water rights to ag, and so therefore the first people that are going to have to make accommodations are going to be municipalities, not the ag industry. So again, you know, there's a whole lot moving there, but this lack of snow right now is hurting our economy, and it will be hurting us this summer. And there are going to be certain things we're going to have to be able to discuss and talk about to try to make it through without the water.
So you're talking about awareness campaigns, just you know, boot stomping or foot stomping what some of the water districts do, making that an awareness. And also buying locally, buying online, as much as you may hate some online sellers. Online comes here. Numbers
Yes. Amazon is a good chunk of money we get, but
Yeah.
but you know, making personal choices to switch your services to Valley businesses, because it not only helps your neighbor, that is a huge thing, but it also helps the city and will then help it next year.
Someone I know also said they stopped buying beef and poultry anywhere except in the valley, because there are sources.
Oh, yeah, that's great.
Yeah, absolutely.
So a campaign to buy local and have days, you know, I think anything we can do like that and get a group to, you know, maybe it's a small business association that has kind of fallen apart, I understand. They're not even meeting anymore. Maybe get them back and try to figure out some ways we can do some education campaigns.
Or a business highlight campaign.
Business highlight campaign, you know, anything to do that. I mean, I've been raving about Sunnyfield Farms ever since I bought a Christmas template in there. So, you know, we just have to do those kinds of things and promote our local folks that do amazing things.
So, I know I've talked to you guys about that before, about how, my plan to have, a listing of all of our local businesses so that people can turn to it and have it readily available and all that.
On the website, we gotta get that on.
Well said, but there was discussion about making sure that we follow, the law in making sure if there's anything about us promoting versus the, you know, just making sure we're threading whatever
And
legal
who
rules
knows
we have.
that if we put things.
Lawyers.
On the site. Lawyers.
So we should
Say
have
that again? What was the question?
Well, no, it was just, it's not a question, it's nothing to act on, it was just an idea. So
Is
I
there
had proposed, I wanted our website to have a listing of all of our local businesses so that people can know, hey, if I need my HVAC fixed, who do I call from the valley?
Does it make it any more legal? Somebody could answer this question if you have a link to something else, so it's not actually on your page, but here's a list over here.
You know, a lot of stuff, there's a way you can do most things.
I,
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely, but
yes.
it's a good idea, and
Yes.
I'm sure we can research.
I think there's a difference between listing an inventory of businesses than
Or Janet endorsing.
endorsing one over another or something like that. I think we'll be safe, but Tia had mentioned just making sure that we talk.
Is it advertising? Just because, like.
Yeah.
From an education background, Peggy, you probably know this, you can't really endorse anything.
Right.
Ticonderoga number twos were very much the ones asked for by all the teachers at the school.
Yeah, and you can have that with a disclaimer. Okay.
Okay. Anything else from council? Any comments you wanted to bring up, topics or anything, something you're struggling with or?
Go ahead, Peggy, I did have one.
Oh, I was wondering about the job posting. Can we get that out and,
You're talking about code enforcement.
for code enforcement? Yes, I get that out. We have some things coming up.
Do we have a system that we can use for?
I was just about to, it's
Assistant.
like an IT system. or-
How getting the jobs or.
How are they getting the complaint?
We have a page on the municipal code. We put in comments to report a concern. That's how they're gonna get that one, and then they'll take those concerns from citizens and go. And we had a concern from the county that we need to investigate, so
But how are they updating us afterwards?
that we'll have to figure out. As soon as we hire.
Do we have to pass a resolution to post anything? Like post a job? Do we have to do anything actually?
This actually is likely to be done through the procurement process as we're contracting with a firm or with an individual who's likely an LLC. We're not hiring an employee, so we'll make sure it follows the normal.
So RFP is not a job posting, is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So I just need to know, you had
We need
mentioned
the
just to look
description.
into it, and how many days I need to post it, what are the rules for posting that? I don't know if we need to vote on that, that's what I brought up at the last time, so I hope we can just get this job posted.
I know in the last time, everybody just simply said, we
Go ahead.
go ahead, but so.
Yeah, so I'm just waiting,
Yeah.
the research on what that means, how long, you know. I think that's really my only constraint is how long do I have to keep it posted, and are there certain places you have to post? So.
Even if you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're moving ahead with that.
Okay.
I totally.
Just a question again on these committees, because you had mentioned you were talking with Corbin, it
Yes.
might involve a resolution.
Yes.
For like the emergency management committee, since
Mhm.
I mentioned we don't have an interlocal with the county, and yet how do we form a committee that would be overseeing?
What is that interlocal with the?
Well, because we know who's who's connected to that, and if I form a committee, do I have to have you all's approval of who would be our like people that are doing emergency preparedness?
It's not like you're hiring, but it would be an extension of the city because we have the legal duty to put together a plan, so
Right.
probably some level and probably some resolution is necessary. So this can all be bundled with all of that committee advisory group discussion and what we saved in the code to do this kind of stuff.
So it's not on tomorrow's agenda. It can be put on the second Tuesday's agenda of February. I told you I would get back with you. Corbin and I played phone tag in the last 48 hours, so I don't have an answer. When I spoke to him, he had believed we would need a resolution, but he was gonna double check and we never came to a conclusion. Yes, sir.
So the whole committee discussion, are we gonna have that one? Was that on the? Have we completed the discussion about, I don't think we've completed the discussion about committees. I would like to,
But we did.
May I propose
Well-
what the conclusion was?
Kay presented her slides, but my recollection, and maybe I misread the agenda, was that Tia had one that she wished to talk about. I know that there's talk that I'm involved in on a water committee and agricultural committee, so the way forward is what I think we should talk about. How do we go about and what are the different options? I would commend everybody the municipal code. Right there at the beginning of Title II, we define and inform ourselves. And unfortunately, we created one hell of a bureaucracy, except Kay was wise enough to put in one paragraph that allows us to create advisory groups instead of committees that are not necessarily so bureaucratic. So
For all.
we need to come up with a way that we either create committees or advisory groups and know what to do and then go forward and start doing this.
I suggest
So,
that
How should
from the
we do this?
discussion, I think, and from your comments, there is general consensus, we want to do the whole citizen committee group and also advisory groups, get that a little bit more guidelines set up. I work with you to kind of, you're forming the responsible.
You mean the naming committee,
Yeah,
right?
and that
And then Tia has an emergency response committee.
I will build this out and build it out on the code and talk with Corbin about whether we need a resolution. So it's serviceable for these one-off issues, but for also the continuing committees that you discussed. There's probably going to be a variety of groups. You know, Tia's emergency preparedness is really an arm of what we're required to do as a city.
And that's why I say it, because,
Yeah.
we have agreements with
Yeah.
Weaver County, and
It's perfect, yeah.
so
I'll come back and propose you.
The reason I bring up the code is unfortunately, if we create a committee, it's a bureaucratic HELL. Or a commission, because they have to follow all the same rules many of the same rules, but not the open meeting stuff that the planning commission has to. So we want to be careful in the words we use. So Kay would come back to us and say, if you want a committee, here's all you gotta do. If you want an advisory group, here's the less amount. And here's a suggested process, whether or not we need to have a resolution to create one or not.
Sure.
Inform us so we can go forward and sort.
The whole package, and also. In the discussion of the code, I can remember we had a discussion about you need formality with the statutorily described planning commission. But we intentionally build in informality and flexibility with the other committees that are not formal bodies under code. Or advisory groups.
The way it reads is only advisory groups are non-formal. So let's just be clear and go forth and create advisory groups, unless we want formal things and get going.
There's the terminology of being an.
Well,
That's semantics.
But
There you
But
go.
the reason because unfortunately, there's lawyers out there who will tie us in knots if we're not careful in what we do.
100%.
So I'm moving forward with an advisory group for naming a city.
There we go.
That's correct.
Yes.
I'm moving forward with advisory group for emergency preparedness.
Yes.
Maybe it's, I mean,
Yours may
That
be-
may be.
come back with a proposal based on the code.
We're just gonna keep going, Mark.
Yeah, we're gonna hope that.
There's a difference
Be careful what you ask for, Edith. You need to look at it. You have to have minutes.
And I'll run it for the rest of my.
Yes, you will. Be careful.
Okay.
I have nothing going, don't.
Oh, yeah, go on, anyway. Was there anything else from any other council member? Regarding anything at all?
No.
Or can you say that?
I can vote to adjourn if you want.
Yes, okay, fantastic. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. It is 4:00.